You've tamed the voices in your head. You've put your courage to the test. Laid all your doubts to rest.
Hi everyone, welcome from Your Intuition Queen to a new episode of Intuitive Queens podcast. Today I have the pleasure to have with me Natalie Schlute, who is an intuitive success coach. And I don't think there is anything else to say. Natalie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mara. I'm so excited to be here with you today and with your audience. I love all the intuitive queens out there.
Yay. I love that you're an intuitive success coach, but we will get to what you do in a moment. Mm-hmm. So I know you have an extremely powerful story of how things were for you when you were younger and how you decided to turn them around, and that brought you to do what you do. So I'd like for you to tell us your story.
Yeah, of course. Well, my childhood was kind of rough. I think everyone has their own traumas. Everyone has things that went on in their family, arguments that happened, and everyone deals with it differently. I had very young parents, and I come from a family of 4 sisters, so everyone wants attention. As an empath, I was always very intuitive. I just didn't know what that meant or what that was when I was younger. I didn't really understand it. There was no one there to guide me or coach me on, this is how you can focus your attention, and this is how you deal with your emotions and your thoughts. I was just a very, very much an introvert and an empath, so I was feeling everyone's emotions in the household. Anytime my sisters would fight, I would feel their emotions. Anytime my parents would fight, I would feel everything going on there. And I really internalized a lot of it. My pattern previously, before I learned how to have a better mindset and how to live and focus my attention better, which is what I learned in my 20s and now I teach, I was, as a child, someone who really focused on the negative. I was focusing on the traumas. I would think about things. I would relive it in my mind, and then I would relive it in my emotions. And so I was a very emotional child. And the patterns that I had, I was perpetuating a lot of negativity. On the outside, it looked fine. Someone would have said, "Oh, she's so sweet. She's so nice. She's so perfect." I was always trying to be there for everyone else, but I just felt like I was being tortured inside by what I was doing with my own thoughts and my own attention. And it took me many years before I realized that's what I was doing. Now I understand the law of attraction, but back then I didn't.
Me too, same.
Yeah. And so that pattern just built up and built up. And by the time I was in my teens, I was extremely depressed. I took a lot of responsibility that, I had to be the one to fix everything in the house with my sisters and with my family. And my sister started doing drugs very young. And then I started doing drugs. They were in and out of juvenile hall. There was just a lot of things, cops at the house all the time. And I felt like a lot of it was my fault. Like I couldn't control everything. And, I was no longer the perfect daughter who made sure everyone in the house was okay. And it got to the point where I was so depressed because I was repeating so many negative thoughts. I had a very long-term relationship in high school and found someone else who had a lot of trauma, and we just kind of built more dramatic relationships there, right? Like I just attracted more of that. By the time I was 18, I was so depressed. I had suicidal thoughts, and I ended up being so overwhelmed by my own thoughts and emotions that I spent a whole year just getting high. Like I was on drugs morning, midday, and evening. I didn't know how to deal with how much pain I was experiencing, and it got to the point where I thought I was going crazy. And I knew that I couldn't keep doing that. I couldn't keep just shoving it down and not dealing with it. I just didn't know. I didn't have the tools. No one was there to coach me or guide me to help me heal through that process and help me to shift and release some of that pain and focus differently. And so, I finally hit that rock bottom point where I was like, I don't know what's reality and what's not. I literally felt like I was psychotic, and I decided I had to stop drugs completely. And I had to start facing my demons, facing my fears, facing all of the stuff I was trying to shove down and not deal with. And that was a big turning point for me. It still wasn't like easy after that, to be very honest. I can
imagine, yeah.
In my 20s, that was my, a big decade of inner work. I'm always doing the inner work, so I'm still doing it now into my mid 30s. But it started with just reading some spiritual books, starting on some self-help books. I've read hundreds and hundreds of self-help books. I love reading. I love absorbing content, applying it, getting perspective, realizing that I have the control over my own thoughts and my own emotions. Yeah. And I can shift. And when I was younger, I didn't think I could. I was like, no, my emotions are happening to me. I'm not creating my emotions. I didn't understand that I was creating my own thoughts. So, you know, it manifested in a lot of different ways. Not only was there drama, depression, you know, anxiety, the drug issues, but I was experiencing chronic pain by the time I was 12. Physical pain in my body. By the time I was, you know, 17, I was getting massive migraines to the point where I was going to the hospital multiple times. I was shaking and vomiting because it was in so much physical pain. Even through my 20s, I had a lot of chronic back pain, neck pain, a lot of digestive issues. Went to so many doctors. No one could tell me anything that was wrong with me, because it wasn't like I had, you know, an abnormal growth in my body. There was nothing like that, but I was experiencing so much pain. It was to the point where, you know, 2 or 3 times a year, I would be laid out for almost a week or more. And I would be on the bed and I'd be in so much pain. I would literally scream to sit up and scream to lay down, because I had so much physical, neurological pain. You know, digestive issues were just absolutely horrible. There was just a lot. And I think it was all manifesting because of the amount of tension I was holding on to, the thoughts I was holding on to, the emotional patterns that I was repeating and holding on to. I was just attracting it, and it was showing up in these very intense physical ways. For me, it comes out differently for everyone. For me, it just came out in a very physical way. And so that actually led me, when I was in college, I was a dancer first, but I had so many injuries, you know, I was in pain so much that I kept going to the athletic trainer. And finally, if you don't know what an athletic trainer is, it's very much like a physical therapist or a physiotherapist, but we work with athletes. And so through that experience, I feel like my 20s was just trying to figure out me. Like, why am I in pain? Why am I having these digestive issues? Why am I, you know, having emotional crying meltdowns every single month, twice a month? Like, I lived most of my life crying a lot. There was a year when I was a child, I cried every single day. There are traumatic events that happened to me that I cried and had a whole anxiety breakdown every year on that day. Like, there was just a lot of things that I held on to. And I was very, very emotional. I would get emotional about everything. And so it forced me to do the inner work. I think sometimes when we have a lot of pain, we have a lot of emotional stuff going on, it's a blessing in disguise. At one point in my early 20s, I realized I have to shift how I look at this. And I have to think of this as, thank goodness I've had all this pain. Thank goodness I've had all this trauma, because now it's forcing me to heal it. It's forcing me to find the answers. And it took me 10, 15 years to figure out all the things that really work the best, which I feel like I now feel pretty confident about the things that can help you transform the fastest, because I found what really worked for me. And I just realized I can use this as a blessing instead to help other people who are going through the same thing. Because if I can find the answers, if I can heal, then I can help heal other people. I can help guide them on the, you know, a faster path than what I went through, because I was doing it all by myself. I didn't have coaches back then. I didn't have the support, and no one in my family understood what was going on with me. No one else had the chronic pain. No one else had the digestive issues. No one else had the migraines, and no one else understood me and why I was so emotional all the time. And I think it's just the nature of myself as an intuitive person, as an empath. I just internalize things differently, and I physically experience things differently. You know, my nervous system is a little more hypersensitive, which is great as an intuitive, because I'm really good at tapping into subtle energetic information through my physical body, through my emotions. So it's kind of a cool gift now that I've learned how to heal the pain, and now I can use it as an intuitive person on a really beautiful level. But through my work as an athletic trainer, you know, I was working to heal people's bodies, but I just kept finding, you know, I was doing the inner work on my own. I was doing a lot of the emotional work because that was still an issue for me. But I also found that I was working with dancers. I worked at Disneyland for 6 years as an athletic trainer for entertainment. A lot of their chronic pain and issues weren't because of dance injuries either. You know, they had emotional stuff going on. And during that time, I was doing so much work on myself. That was when I was getting my certifications in life coaching, hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, like really understanding the subconscious mind. I was also getting Reiki certified. I was learning about intuitive development and manifestation. So while I was working on people, I was doing all this work because I knew there was something deeper. I was like, okay, I still haven't found the answers to my chronic pain. Yeah, I can foam roll, I can ice, I can heat, I can stretch, I can do the exercises, but it didn't fix it 100%. Yeah. It definitely helped and supported, but that was not the root cause of what was my pain was. And so I kept doing all this inner work, and that's kind of what led me to where I am now. But the really interesting part of it was as I was opening myself up emotionally and spiritually, doing a lot of surrender and a lot of release of my own traumas, I started to open up my intuition a lot more. And I would be working on people and, you know, I would touch their shoulder, I'd be working on their back, and I could see colors in their body. I could see densities. I could feel their emotions, and I would hear messages. And sometimes I would even touch someone and I would get a premonition, and I would like, it was as if I just like flew into an argument that they had, something extremely traumatic that had just happened that week. And I felt it, and I was standing there, and I knew exactly who they were talking to and what the conversation was about. And so I started receiving all these psychic impressions when I was working on people's bodies. And I didn't really know how to deal with it at first, because I'm like, do I say something? Are they going to think I'm crazy and weird? Like, not everyone's open to that kind of stuff. And also I didn't want to overstep my boundaries, you know, at work. Like, is it okay to be saying those things? You know, we have rules and guidelines of what we're allowed to do. And so it was just this interesting process of opening myself up and releasing a lot of the trauma of the past, stepping into who I really wanted to be as a person. And all of these other miracles started happening, and things just transformed so beautifully. You know, I don't have emotional meltdowns anymore. My chronic pain is 90% gone. You know, I've still got a little less that I'm working through. It really is amazing. I mean, when I look at where I was a decade ago, I feel like I'm a completely different person. And as I keep doing the inner work, I look back every 6 months of my life and I'm like, wow, I'm a different person than I was 6 months ago. I'm a different person than I was a year ago, and so forth. And you just grow so much in such a beautiful way. It's like, I never want to stop growing, because it feels so good to experience the progression and how much lighter I feel by letting go of the traumas of the past, learning how to see it differently than I did before, and really shift my focus into a beautiful space, you know, feeling that support of the universe, of my angels and my divine connection, and also just choosing to see myself, choosing to see the world, choosing to see my past differently. You know, it took some time and some inner work, but it's totally worth it. I mean, if anyone who is listening is struggling with anything, your life can be 180 degrees in the different direction if you choose it to be. And
absolutely. And I absolutely love, you talked about all the things that I always talk about: emotional healing and surrendering to the universe, getting to know yourself. It's all the things that to me are so, so important. And the fact that you had such a intuitive nature, and I think that there are so many people and so many children that are so sensitive, and the fact that you can from a very young age feel so much can be, as you said, a good thing, because it is a good thing. But if you're not able to handle it, and if you don't have the right people around you that can guide you and help you through it, that it can come up in so many different ways, and physical pain is one of them. But I think that like you kind of experience a lot of different stages, because even, you know, turning into drugs or maybe some other kind of addiction is one of the reaction to not knowing what's going on with you.
Definitely. I agree, you know, and it is nice and important to have that support. I think people need to be more aware that there are those of us out there that just experience the world differently. You know, it took me a long time to realize, you know, I always felt different. I just didn't know what it was, because there wasn't anyone there to explain it to me. It was funny. I had a conversation with one of my sisters several months ago, and she's like, yeah, Natalie, when I was explaining what an empath is and how I experience life, she's like, I remember being a kid and I was fighting with, you know, so-and-so, and you would come downstairs and you were crying and upset. And she's like, I just didn't understand why you were so emotional. Like, she's like, I wasn't yelling at you. I wasn't attacking you. But even though I wasn't in the fight, I wasn't in that conversation, no one was literally attacking me, I still felt it. She didn't have the capacity to feel things the way that I do. And understanding that we're all different, and if you feel like you're a very emotional person, you may have this beautiful gift. And a lot of people, you know, it was funny, the other day I was researching empath, you know, just to see what comes up, and there were a lot of keywords that came up as like I hate being an empath. Being an empath is a curse, and oh, I want to kill myself and all these things. I was like, oh my goodness, we have this beautiful gift, and if we don't understand our true nature of who we are, it can surface, or if we don't know how to deal with it, if we don't know how to understand ourselves and how to process our own emotions, it can be extremely painful. So
it is. And I guess it's also, you're afraid of all the things that you're feeling, because they're not your feelings, like they have nothing to do with you, and still you feel in some kind of way. Or as you said, you will cry every day, and if you look at what's going on, there is no reason for you to cry, but still, you feel that way. So I guess that for a lot of people, it's scary to feel all so much and not understand that it comes from a certain awareness, and then that you can manage yourself if you learn to understand what's going on. Because I think now the word empath has become way more popular, and now a lot of people are understanding this is a gift, and they're also understanding that you can manage yourself, you can protect yourself, you can decide to close your energy and stop feeling if you need to. But of course I feel it all goes down to having the right people around and knowing, because when you're so young, how do you know? Like you mentioned you started reading books, and that happened to me too. Like I learned about the law of attraction because someone suggested I read a book, and when I started reading, I'm like, oh, okay. And as you said, I started reading so many books and started to implement what they were saying, and it's kind of like a lot of things became so much clearer for me. A lot of things I was doing already, I'm like, so this is a thing, so this is not just me. But you have to get to that point. You have to meet that person that can tell you something. You have to read that book that you resonate with, or listen to a podcast and hear your story. I feel that now probably with social media there is so much more openness and awareness, because there is so much information, and there it wasn't like that like 15 years ago. Like it wasn't like that for me either. So I feel that now probably we have more ways to get to understand this.
Yes, the resources are always there. And they're at our fingertips nowadays. So like anyone can Google anything and find information. I think the tricky part is not knowing what you're searching for. You're searching for an answer, but you don't know the right words to search. You don't know what's going to help you the most. I think the game changer for anyone who is struggling is to know that you are the creator of your own reality, which is what I did not understand when I was younger. I didn't realize that I was the one creating all of that pain. I was the one creating those emotions. Even as an empath now that I'm aware of it, I can feel what's going on in a room, even if it's heated, there's an argument, there's a discussion, I'm around people that have funky energy and I don't really like it. The difference is now that I'm aware of it, I can choose what I take in and hold on to, and I can choose what I just let move through me and let go of. I'm not a huge fan of like feeling like you have to protect yourself, because I think that creates a sense of tension, right? The moment you feel like you have to protect yourself against everything, all of a sudden it's like you're fearful. Like the flip side of that, the unconscious message that you're telling yourself is there are bad things out there that you really have to protect yourself. So then we create this low grade tension in our body. Instead, what I have learned to do, and I've really focused on mastering, is as an intuitive and as an empath, I allow myself to feel things. I just now am conscious of what I hold on to, right? I can feel someone else's negative energy, and I can choose to be like, oh, that's interesting, and just breathe it out and let it flow through me. And then if they continue to be near my vicinity, I can choose then, okay, well, I'm just going to keep my vibration so high. I'm going to focus on how I want to feel and master my emotional default. I choose that I want to feel happy and blissful and hopeful and joyful all the time. And so not that, in life, it's not all the time, but as much as possible, right? I figured out that I can choose how I want to vibrate, how I want to feel emotionally, and the thoughts, the the majority of the thoughts that I want to hold on to and carry with me, because that is going to determine what I attract. That is going to determine how I perceive life, the quality of life that I draw in and that I experience on a daily basis. So it's about being aware that I can choose my thoughts, I can choose my emotions, I can choose how I react to someone else's energy and information and things like that. And I really do have a choice in all of that. And so if you have a choice, which we all do, it's about being conscious of it, like aware of the choices that you were making and choosing to just keep making new decisions until all of a sudden your new patterns, your new defaults are to focus on the good, to let go of things that don't serve you, to shift your entire thought patterns. A lot of like reprogramming the subconscious mind, neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis has been a huge for me, because that has retrained how I think. And, you know, I've also been doing a lot of work of just getting my body moving, jumping up and down and dancing and making myself feel happy. I've been reprogramming my nervous system and my emotional system on a daily basis. Anytime I feel like I'm getting in a funk, I get out of my chair, I get out of my desk, and I go make myself happy. I give myself a couple minutes, I put on some loud music, I dance around, and I train myself to be in a happy space. And actually that has been healing my chronic pain faster than anything else. And then meditation is great too. That's another really big tool that I love and I use. When you're able to quiet the mind, slow the mind down, slow your nervous system down, you're no longer running on just impulses, you know, it's then you can be very conscious of what you're creating. You can be aware of the thoughts that are coming up. Just notice, observe your patterns. You can shift it. You can quiet the mind enough so that you're able to feel and receive more divine guidance from your angels, from your guides, from Holy Spirit, you know, however you want to define it. And those practices have really completely changed my life. You know, all of that helps you be a better attractor. The law of attraction is always working. So it
absolutely.
They're just the best tools that I have found that have really helped me to master myself, so that I'm attracting more good things, and I'm, you know, slowly attracting less and less of the things that I don't desire in life by being able to master my own state. Which is
absolutely.
really
I completely agree with you. And I think, you know, the difficult part is understanding how you stay in a high vibration, and that it's okay to stop doing what you're doing to get yourself into that point, so then you can go back and feel okay. There is one thing that I kind of want to understand from you. So because you were in such a deep low state when you were into depression and all that, how did you switch? Because you said you started reading books about the law of attraction, but I guess that, you know, a book or two doesn't make that much of a difference, can do a tiny difference, but obviously your depression and your pain were still there. How was your process in that moment?
You know, the process really evolved. It did start with reading books and creating some awareness, which made little small shifts, right? That kind of helped and made, you know, felt a little bit better here and there. I was also, because I had so many digestive issues, I was working on my nutrition. I've always moved. I've always been a mover. So exercise has always been a part of my life. Things really started changing when I wasn't just reading and learning, but I was actually applying the principles that I was learning. There were a lot of methods and things that I had tried out there. You know, there's acupuncture, there's things like, you know, healing with magnets, like doing the emotion code work and things like that. And I did a lot of these things that for me, they just didn't help that much.
Right.
I think on some level they did. I'm not going to say that they don't work, because some people get phenomenal results from those things. They really do. But I think for everyone, it's going to be a little bit different what resonates with them. I just found the things that work the fastest when I really applied it. That you have to apply it, right? You have to you have to make the choice that, like, okay, not only do I understand the law of attraction, because I've been reading the law of attraction books for over a decade, but I was not practicing. I was not mastering.
That's right.
Applying it every day 10 years ago. I was not. Today I am. I am totally doing that now. And I haven't been doing that for the last few years. And it's very different to just understand something. Like knowledge, they say knowledge is power, but knowledge is really just potential power. It's
That's right.
Like you have to conceptualize it first. So you have to get it, like understand it in your mind. But the only way things are going to change is if you apply it to your life, right?
Yeah.
So now it's catching myself, being super aware of Natalie and her patterns, And when I feel myself getting a little bit of head pressure, or I notice my chest is getting tight and I'm not breathing as deeply, these are signals for me. Hey, I'm going into my stress pattern again. I'm going, I'm defaulting back to how Natalie lived, for the first 30 years of her life.
Yeah.
That's what I'm falling back into that pattern. And so when I catch myself, then I do something to change. I get up, I do some big breathing exercises. I go meditate if I feel like my mind is really crazy, or if I just feel like I need to dance and smile and jump around and say yes and move, then I do that. Every time it's going to be a little bit different. Sometimes things come up. I'm like, I need to journal this out. This has been on my mind for a couple of weeks and I can tell it keeps resurfacing. I'm going to do some journaling. I'm going to reframe my thoughts. I'm going to look at my negative thought patterns and figure out what are the better thought patterns to focus on. And now every time that comes up, I'm going to choose this instead. So you just have to coach yourself over and over and over again. And as you do that, it gets better and better, and sometimes it's about having the hard conversations. If your pattern is, I'm afraid to speak up, I'm afraid to get into, an argument or discussion. So I just kind of suppress my emotions and I don't say anything to my mom, my dad, my husband, my boyfriend, my kids, I'm just kind of holding it in. Well, then your pattern is you need to go and have those difficult conversations, but you need to do it in a very loving, open way. Yeah. Sometimes it's things like that, or when someone says something to you and it triggers you, like it triggers a deep emotional wound and you want to lash out with anger or defensiveness. In that moment, catch yourself. Notice, oh, I'm defaulting back into this old pattern and that pattern causes drama. How can I show up differently? Do I need to step away? Do I need to take a couple deep breaths? Do I need to, instead of just lashing back and defending myself and getting angry about it, do I need to ask, hey, what did you really mean by that? Okay, well, what's the root of this problem? Like, be more inquisitive with your conversations, ask more questions instead of attacking the other person. Like, it's also those kind of patterns too, right? Like the everyday communication patterns that sometimes need to heal so that you stop perpetuating the drama as well.
Right.
It's how you're showing up.
Yeah.
So those are other things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like we all get into that state. You don't have to have had a lot of issues, or it's just the way we are. And I feel that once you know yourself, then you can manage yourself. You can understand what's going on with other people, react differently, and everything changes for you. And that's when you start to manifest things. Okay. So now, how did you come about deciding to become a coach and a success coach?
That's a good question. I always thought I was going to be a therapist. Like I always knew I was going to be a teacher from the time I was like 5 years old. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a teacher one day. And then because I was always the mediator of the family, I was always the person people came to for advice. I was always the one who could help fix everyone else, because as an empath, we feel things. Therefore, we can very easily feel other people's energy, and we just figure out how to make people happy, how to calm people down. We're just really good at that. Like I've been doing that since I was a kid. And it's funny because when I went into college, I was like, okay, do I want to work on the physical body, the mental body, or do I want nutrition? I was like, I feel like I'm still going to go back for psychology or something like that, because I love understanding people. I love helping people. And then as an athletic trainer, and as I was mentioning, that was when I was getting all these other certifications, the life coaching, the hypnotherapy, the NLP, doing Reiki healing and all of that. Those, once I started putting all those together, I was like, wow, now when I finally found the answers for myself, when I finally really felt myself come into a place of confidence, of solidity, of like, wow, I've really come a long way. And I'm ready. Like I felt ready to guide other people in this way. I always knew that I wanted to write books and coach people in some sense. I think the downloads came to me over time that like, I wanted to help more. I think that was the end game. I wanted to help more people.
Yeah.
And as an athletic trainer, I'm only helping one person at a time, and not all of them are open to the help that I was wanting to give them. They wanted an exercise. They wanted to be out of pain very quickly, but not all of them were mentally open and ready to hear some of the intuitive stuff that I had to say, the mindset stuff that I had to say, the emotional healing stuff that I had to say. And so once I felt extremely proficient and I knew my life had completely turned around, I was like, okay, I'm ready to transition. I'm ready to be be there for people who are ready to do the inner work, who want to do the inner work, that want to heal on a deeper level. And I also wanted to help more than just one person at a time too. And so I ended up creating my online business. I put together all the best of everything that helped me transform my life, to master the law of attraction, to develop my intuition, to calm my nervous system, to open me up spiritually and reach my goals faster. Like, I put everything together and I created an online course called Step Into Your Power Academy. I wanted a place where people could learn the best of the best, everything that I had taken of over 15 years. And I just gave them the stuff that really worked, like the stuff that I actually felt the biggest, fastest changes from, all in one place. So it's a lot of different variety of things in there, but I really feel like that's what helped me change. And I wanted to help more people. Yeah. And I knew if I had an online course, people could go through the program at their own pace, at their own time. And I didn't have to coach and teach each person individually one-on-one, you know, the 40 different video content that I have in there. Like, they can actually go through it and I don't have to just repeat myself. So I shifted and created the online course, but then I also do one-on-one coaching, and within the course there's group coaching too. So I was like, if I can make a bigger impact and help more people, that's really the most important thing to me. And the ideas just came, you know, like I was divinely guided to create all of these things when the time was right, when I was ready for it, and when I felt really confident to do so. And so it evolved. It's kind of its own natural progression to where I am today. And I think that's how it is for most people. You know, it's just one little step after another. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, here I am.
Exactly. And sometimes you don't realize that we're actually we are progressing. And then all of a sudden like, oh, okay, so that was working. I just love the fact that you went through so much pain and then you shifted so much because you decided to take responsibility about your life first of all, and then action. And so what do your clients come to you with? What is the thing that your clients really, really want most of everything? Because I'm sure that you have clients that come with to you with a variety of reasons, but what do you feel is the one that everybody wants, or most of the people want?
It's funny because it is a little bit of everything, right? Like, a lot of my one-on-one clients, we're talking about dating and boyfriends and career stuff. And, oh, I keep doing this thing and I keep thinking this and I'm so emotional about this. And, oh, I'm struggling with low energy. It's across the board, everything. I think everyone is seeking a better life, right? I think we all want more. We want more happiness. We want more joy. We want more health, more energy. We want more success. We want more financial abundance. We want, you know, to connect with people on a deep level, to have like a really great group of friends, a soulmate, a family. Like, I think we all just want more. We all want to up level, and to get there faster, it really helps to have someone who can guide you through that, to support you on the things that you don't know how to navigate, you know. It's so much faster when you have someone that has extra training, extra wisdom, you know, extra experience in coaching. The experience is really it, you know. And when you have someone like that can help you reach all of those goals faster, help you find your soulmate faster, help you, you know, grow your business or find the career that you want faster, help you to overcome a lot of the money mindset things faster and shift how you think and feel about life. I think people are just looking for more, and they're looking for a fast track. And I think coaching is one of the best ways to get that, you know.
I agree. And I think, yes, you have all the certification and stuff, but I think that the most powerful thing that every coach should have is the experience, because with that combined with everything that you have studied, just so powerful. And as an intuitive, you can pick up things so faster and easier. So the help that you can provide is so powerful, and can speed up so much for a client. I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so where can we find you if we want to work with you?
I'm on almost every social media platform. If you just, you know, type in my name, Natalie Schlute, that's my handle for everything. NatalieSchlute.com, my website. If you want to look at programs I have, do coaching or even healings. I also do Reiki and crystal healings. It's the same handle for Instagram. I spend a lot of time hanging out on Instagram. I try and get on every day on my stories and give you some advice and motivation and things there. I do have a YouTube and a podcast as well. So if you want to absorb a little more content, and then I've got a Facebook group too. So I like to post in there. Again, it's daily inspiration. It just depends on what your favorite platform is.
Okay.
Go find it. And I do have lots of freebies too. So if you go to my my Instagram, there's a little link there, and I have a free 3-part video series that helps teach people how to open up their intuition. And I give you the one practice that I did every single day for about a year that really helped me master my own intuition, to really decipher my own feelings and receive more psychic impressions. So that's a really fun one as well. That'll help you upgrade your life. And
Okay.
I'll make sure to do all of those links too.
Yes, and all the links will be in the show notes. So if you missed anything that she said, or if you're watching on YouTube and you missed the link passing by, just go check the show notes, because everything is going to be there so you don't miss anything. Okay, Natalie. So just one last question before we wrap up. What would you what would be an advice that you want to give to the women listening that could help them move forward?
I think the one piece of advice that just popped into my head is that you must take responsibility for your life. You are the creator of your life. And as long as you are blaming other people, other things, other situations, even your chronic pain, like if you're dealing with physical pain like me, if you are a victim to your pain and you are not, I recently realized I created my pain, my emotions, the tension that I hold in my body and in my nervous system created my pain. So if I have a day where I have a migraine or something going on in my body and I'm like, oh, I hate this, I'm like blaming my pain, but I am the one who created it. So take radical responsibility for everything that happens to you, because in reality, we are the ones who create it. Even if it seems like it's something outside of you, you still energetically attracted it, whether it's a person in your life or a crazy situation that happens, you actually manifested that. And so take responsibility. Don't be hard on yourself about it, right? Like we have to have some love and peace and grace with our own process and our own success on that path, because we're still going to make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect all the time. So have some loving grace in your process of taking total responsibility, because when you do that, that is when things really change. Because when you take responsibility, you then take the action to actually, okay, I'm the one who created this. I'm going to go change it. I'm going to go fix it. I'm going to go do the inner work. I'm going to change my thoughts. I'm going to change my emotions. I'm going to change my perspective. I'm actually going to go, read the books and do the coursework and apply it to my life. And when you take responsibility, that's when everything actually changes the fastest. Mm-hmm.
I cannot agree with you completely.
Yeah.
With everything you said. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you and have this beautiful conversation about your story and how to actually shift everything. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me here. I'm so honored, and I hope all of your listeners get a lot out of this this podcast episode.
Yeah, I'm sure they will, because there were so much, and I think it's like your story is really inspiring, and I hope they'll get in touch with you, or at least they get inspired by what you did and how you turn your life around. So hopefully.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And what a beautiful conversation with Natalie, and what a powerful story. So she is proof that even if you are at the lowest point, you can always find ways to turn your life around. Of course, it needs work and time, but it's possible. So I hope you've been inspired by her story. And if you want to get in touch with her, please check the show notes. If you instead want to get in touch with me, just go to theintuitionqueen.com or find me on Instagram, The Intuition Queen, and you can find my offers. I offer intuitive session, color therapy session, card reading, and I have a 4-month program that will help you to start from where you're at and provide you all the tools that you need to work on yourself, heal your emotional and physical body and learn to connect to your intuition, so then you can manifest your vision. And this is going to be done through the power of colors, because colors are so powerful. And I will show you. It's so much fun. And if you want to know more, just either contact me via website or via Instagram. I respond to everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe to my newsletter, subscribe to the podcast, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Your future's at the door.